Good morning, everyone. I am Sherilyn Cupelayo, your teacher for today. And our topic is all about communicable diseases. So, what are communicable diseases? Communicable diseases is any disease that passes between people or animals. People sometimes refer to communicable diseases as infectious or transmissible diseases. So these communicable diseases are also known as infectious or transmissible. This is an illness that results from infection, presence, and growth of pathogenic. So this means that it is capable of causing diseases in biological agents in an individual human or other animal host. So these pathogens include bacteria, viruses, fungi, and protists that can cause communicable diseases. A person may develop a communicable diseases after becoming infected by the pathogen. This may happen through direct contact with the person carrying the pathogen, contact with contaminated fluids such as blood, mucus, or saliva, inhaling contaminated droplets from another person's cough or sneeze, receiving a bite from an animal or insect carrying the pathogen, and consuming contaminated water or foods. Once a pathogen has entered a person's body, it will begin replicating. The individual may then begin to experience symptoms. Some symptoms are a direct result of the pathogen damaging the body cells. Others are due to the body's immune responses to the infections. Communicable diseases are usually mild and symptoms pass after a few days. However, some can be serious and potentially life-threatening. So let's now proceed to types and symptoms. So there are four main types of pathogens that causes infection. These are the viruses, bacteria, fungi, and protists. So first is the viruses. Viruses are tiny pathogens that contains genetic material. It is either DNA or the RNA that's surrounded by a protein coat that replicates only inside the living cells of an organism. Unlike other pathogens, they lack the complex structure of the cell. To replicate, they must enter the cells of other living beings. Once inside, they use the cell's machinery to make copies of themselves. Some different viruses include rhinoviruses. Rhinoviruses are a group of viruses that are responsible for the common cold. The rhinovirus is the most common viral infectious disease in humans and is the predominant cause of the common cold. Symptoms of a cold may include a stuffy or runny nose, sore throat, and headache. A person can catch a rhinovirus by inhaling contaminated droplets from the cough or sneeze of another person. Similarly, rhinoviruses spread by people touching their nose, eyes, or mouth after touching items or surfaces that have come into contact with the virus. Influenza. Influenza viruses are infections that attack the respiratory system, such as your nose, throat, and lungs. Influenza is commonly called the flu. Some potentially symptoms include fever or chills, stuffy or runny nose, sore throat, cough, headaches, muscle or body aches, and fatigue. A person can catch influenza viruses in the same way they may catch rhinoviruses. Next is the HIV or the human immunodeficiency virus. The HIV attacks the immune system of its host. This makes the person vulnerable to other infections and diseases. A person can contract HIV as a result of contact with blood or other body fluids containing the virus. The symptoms of HIV may develop gradually and in stages. They can include fever, chills, rash, mouth sores, sore throat, swollen lymph nodes, night sweats, muscle aches, and fatigue. The only way a person can be certain they have HIV is to have an HIV test. Although there is no cure for HIV, medications can help to keep the virus under control. Without such treatment, HIV can develop into AIDS, or the acquired immunodeficiency virus. The next pathogen is the bacteria. Bacteria are microscopic, single-celled organisms. They exist in almost every environment on Earth, including inside the human body. Many bacteria are harmless, and some help the body to function. However, bacteria can also cause infections that damage the body. Some different types of bacterial infections include Salmonella and Escherichia coli. Salmonella and Escherichia coli, or the E. coli, are two different types of bacteria that can infect the digestive system. Salmonella and the E. coli are both bacteria, and they are fundamentally very similar. Salmonella actually evolved from E. coli about 100 million years ago. They typically spread through contaminated foods such as uncooked meats and unwashed fruits and vegetables. Some symptoms of these infections include abdominal cramps, diarrhea, fever, and headache. Tuberculosis. Tuberculosis, or TB, is a bacterial infection that primarily attacks the lungs. TB is a potentially serious infectious disease that mainly affects the lungs. It may cause the following symptoms: a cough continuing for more than 3 weeks, loss of appetite, unintentional weight loss, fever, chills, and night sweats. A person can catch TB by inhaling tiny droplets or aerosols from the cough or sneeze of a person who has the infection. However, the American Lung Association states that while TB is contagious, it does not easily spread from person to person. Fungi. Fungi are a type of organism that includes yeast, molds, and mushrooms. There are millions trusted sources of different fungi, but only around 300 causes harmful illnesses. Fungal infections can occur anywhere in the body, but they commonly affect the skin and mucous membranes. Some different types of fungal infection include ringworm. Ringworm is a common fungal infection of the skin. The characteristic symptom of ringworm is a red or silver ring-shaped rash. It may be dry, scaly, or itchy. People may contract ringworm in the following ways: through close contact with a person who has a ringworm. Alternatively, they can catch it from sharing towels, bedding, or other personal items with the person who has ringworm. Without treatment, ringworm may spread to the other parts of the body. Athlete's foot. Athlete's foot is a common fungal infection that affects the skin on the feet. It typically causes sore or itchy, white patches between the toes. People can contract athlete's foot through direct contact with someone who has the fungus or surfaces that have been in contact with the fungus. For example, an individual might contract athlete's foot after walking barefoot in the locker rooms, showers, or swimming pools. The last pathogen is the protists. Protists are microscopic organisms that typically consist of a single cell. Some protists are parasitic, meaning they live on or inside another organism and use the organism's nutrients for their own survival. Parasitic protists can cause virus diseases. The protist plasmodium causes the tropical disease malaria. The parasite can pass from person to person through mosquito bites. Malaria causes symptoms such as fever and chills, headaches, vomiting, diarrhea, and muscle pains. So without proper treatment, malaria can be life-threatening. How to prevent transmission. People can reduce the risk of contracting or transmitting these diseases causing pathogens by following these steps: washing their hands thoroughly and regularly, disinfecting surfaces at home often, especially doorknobs and food areas, practicing good hygiene when preparing and handling food, avoiding eating spoiled food, avoiding touching wild animals, receiving available vaccinations, and taking anti-malarial medications when traveling where there is a malaria risk. Treatment. Some communicable diseases cause only mild symptoms that disappear without treatment. Others may cause severe symptoms or potentially life-threatening complications. The treatment for such diseases depends whether they are bacterial, viral, or fungal. For viral infections, vaccines are a highly effective method for preventing specific viral infections. When a person receives a vaccine, they are receiving a dead or inactive form of virus. The immune system responds by producing antibodies capable of killing inactive forms of the virus in the future. If a person already has a virus, they may require antiviral medications to keep the virus under control. While in the bacterial infections, a person who has a bacterial infection may require a course of antibiotics to help control the infection. These drugs work by killing off the bacteria or preventing them from replicating. Lastly is the fungal infections. A severe or chronic fungal infection may require over-the-counter or prescription antifungal medications. These are available in both oral and topical forms. So, to sum it up, communicable diseases are diseases that can pass from person to person. The pathogens that cause these diseases can spread in various ways, such as through air, contact with contaminated substances or surfaces, or from animal and insect bites. Many communicable diseases cause mild symptoms that go away without treatment. Others require treatment to prevent them from becoming more serious. There are steps a person can take to reduce the risk of contracting and transmitting diseases causing pathogens. These include receiving available vaccinations, practicing regular hand washing, and maintaining good hygiene at home. So that's the end of our discussion. I hope you learned something on our discussion for today. So that's all, guys. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.